Hello friends, welcome back to the sessions. So in this session, we will discuss about the architecture of SAP, how SAP will look like, what are the set of systems provided by the SAP. So SAP is an three-tier architecture. So it will always written as R3. Now what is the meaning of R3? So here R stands for the real time and the 3 stands for three-tier architecture. If you know the DBMS, if you're from the RDBMS background, you might know about the one tier, two tier, and the three tier architecture. If you don't know, not an issue, we will go from the scratch. So before I jump to the three tier architecture, let's discuss about the history of SAP. When the SAP has been launched and since from the launching to till day, what is the evolution in the SAP we can say. So if you look at the history of SAP, SAP has launched in 1972. The tool has been developed by 5 IBM ex-employer. The 5 IBM ex-employees, they have started their own startup and they have initially developed the ERP software in the name of SAP R1. And it's a German oriented. The head office is located in Germany. And initially they have started their startup with the name SAP AG. Like in India, we do have the private limited. Similarly, in Germany, it will be like AG, it is something like private limited equals to in India. So initially they have developed the tool in the name of SAP R1. Again, here R stands for the real time and the one stands for one tier architecture. So before I go with the one tier, the meaning behind the real time is if you are developing any object, if you're working on any object, if that object is impacting your business, ongoing impact business, then it will be the part of real time. For example, suppose if you are the fan of cricket, like if you're looking at the cricket match, then how do we get to know that it's a ongoing match, that still the match is going on in parallel in other city? Somewhere in the screen you'll get as a live option. It means that is a running match, it is going somewhere around your city. Same way, if you are working with any object, if that object is impacting your business, then it's a part of real time. Otherwise, it's a part of dummy. Same way, the one is a part of one tier architecture. If you look at the architecture level, we do have one tier, two tier, and the three tier. Currently, we are working with the three tier, but initially when they has launched, they come up with the one tier architecture. Now, what is the meaning of one tier architecture? In that, you do have a single system. In the one tier architecture, we do have the single system, and that we can call it as a server. Everything is going to be taken place in a same system. Now, if you look at any application, for example, if you are working with your laptop or mobile phone, now if I open any application, suppose in my laptop, I'm opening some paint application, or maybe I'm opening some Word application, Word file. If you look at the developer point of view, what is our imagination? Maybe some in the background, some source code has been written. Maybe that program is getting executed in the background. Maybe that program got executed and we have received the application. Am I right? In the same way, if you are running any application, if you are running any object, there are some sort of activities are going to be taken place in the background. What kind of those activity? So very first, whatever the source code you have written to run that application, that source code will get loaded into memory. That is a part of loading. So whenever we double click on any application, suppose in my laptop as I discussed about the paint, if I double click on the paint application, after 2 to 3 seconds, it will show you the screen. So in that 2 to 3 seconds, what are the things are going to be taken place in the background? Whatever the source code has been returned to run that application, that entire source code will get loaded into memory. Whatever the set of data objects you have declared, it will allocate the physical memory to hold the data temporarily. I will come to that point in the flow of data in SAP. That is the next session. So whatever the source code you have written, that will get loaded into memory. Then the coding, the program, the source code, the statement will get compiled by the compiler. Then it's going to be interpret. and then it's going to be execute. So once it is execute, either it will read the data from database or it will write the data into the database. When we say one tier architecture, all these activities are going to be taken place in one single server called one tier architecture. When I say one tier architecture, loading, compiling, interpreting, execution, and reading or writing the operation on your database is all activities are going to be taken place in one single server called one tier architecture. And as I discussed, time is equals to money. If you are running the business, the more important the importance you are going to give to the time, that much money you can earn. So here there was a major drawback. What? Of course, if you are going to do all the activities in one single server, that might be chances of like the load on the database is going to be increases. And that was a major drawback. If the load on the database is going to be increases or the load on the system is going to be increases, your system getting start delaying the response. It will start hanging. The response time will start getting delayed. So that was a major drawback. Then what SAP has done in the 1980s, in the 1980s, they have relaunched their tool. And the 1980s, they come up with SAP R2. Again, R stands for real time and the 2 stands for two tier architecture. In that you do have two systems, one with the server side and another with the client side. So this is your server where all the data is going to be stored, and here you do have the client systems, I can say. Now first, client is requesting the data from database and the database is going to be response back to the client. When he say request, again you are loading, compiling, interpreting, execution. Same. Even second client is going to be request something from the server and the server is going to be response back. Even the third client is requesting something from the server and the server is going to be response back. So there is some restriction. It will work for a specific some set of clients. Suppose if you purchase a new mobile phone and that mobile phone comes with the RAM of some 4 GB or 8 GB and the hard disk with somewhat around 126 or something. At what time your mobile functioning will be smoothen? Until unless you do have the enough memory in your mobile phone. As soon as your mobile phone memory is getting full, of course, it will impact on the performance. It will start getting hang. It will start responding it will start delaying the response. Same way, it will limit it for some set of client. The as much as the client are going to be increases on the client side, again it going to be impact on the performance. And it was again the major drawback. So to overcome with this, SAP come up with the foolproof solution that is a part of three-tier architecture. In that, you do have set of three servers, one with the database. So SAP R3 has launched in 1989 or 90 something I can say. SAP come up with the three-tier architecture in 1990s. In that, so since from 1992 till date, I can say just before 2016, I can say we are working with the three-tier architecture. Still, many clients are working on the three-tier only. So the third system is a part of database server, and SAP is an independent database server being used. It can support Oracle, DB2, SQL, Sybase, anything. And after like in 2016, SAP come up with its own database that is a part of HANA. We do have the different session for that. So when we talk about the R3, we do have set of three servers: database server, then we do have application server, and then we do have presentation server. So Now, what are the activities we discussed, like loading, compiling, interpreting, execution, or performing the read and write operation? That was restricted to single system. Now, these activity we are dividing into three servers. These five activity we are going to divide into three different layers. So presentation is meant for providing the input. So in the presentation server, we are going to provide the input and we are going to receive the output. So when we are going to provide the input, once you double click or once you click on start, that entire program will get loaded into memory. So before you provide the input or before we receive the output, your program must be loaded. So loading is going to be done in the presentation itself. So once the loading has been done, it will start compiling, it will start interpreting the statements, and then it's going to execute the statement. So execution will be done in the application server. Execution will be done in the application server. So these three activity again done. So loading will be done in the presentation, application server is meant for execution, and finally we are going to perform the read or write operation that is on your database. So SAP is an three-tier architecture which contain set of three servers. Presentation is meant for providing the input and receiving the output. Application is meant for execution. And the third one is your database. And again, SAP is an independent database server being used. Means it will support the third-party database. Since from 1971 to just before like around 2016, before SAP has launched with its own database, till all the customers of SAPs are using the third-party database systems. Since till today also, if the client is working on the three-tier architecture, he is going to be used a third-party database system. But SAP has now come up with its own database called HANA. Maybe you might come across with this HANA concept. HANA is your SAP's own database. We do have the separate session for that. So here we do have the set of three server. Presentation, which is meant for providing the input, taking the output. Application server, which is meant for execution. Before execution, it's going to compile, it's going to interpret the statement which you have written, and then it's going to be executed. Once the execution has been done, it's going to perform the read or write operation on the database. That is a part of database server. And there is a note for you, SAP is an independent database server being used. SAP is an independent database server being used. It can be Oracle, he will support Oracle, he will support DB2, it's IBM's own server service provided. Then we do have SQL, we do have Sybase, so on. These are the different, more than that. You do have the different database service provider available in the market. So SAP is going to be support all. But most of the time you can see the either Oracle or SQL. Most of the SAP's customer, they are using this third-party database, maybe Oracle, maybe SQL, so on. So this is the architecture of SAP and the history of SAP. Next, now if I go with the consultant in SAP, before that we do have the modules in SAP. In SAP, we are going to divide into two parts. One side, I can say the models in technical side, and the models in functional side. So the models in technical sides are the ABAP is the model which is purely a programming. and the another is the basis, which is purely a networking. And we do have the set of functional consultant which is responsible for individual business process. Like we discussed, the SAP is going to support the different business application. What are the business? Purchase, sales, production, finance. Now these business activity, they have provided the set of application, and he has also provided the set of database table. Now the set of application and the set of a database table which are belongs to the individual business process, they have introduced in the format of models, as we discussed in the previous session. So the models are like which is a part of material management, which is meant for handling all purchase related activity. That stands for material management. Then comes with SD, sales and distribution. Then comes with PP, production and planning. Then comes with FI, that is a part of finance. Then CO, controlling, is a part of finance only. Then comes with HR, as we know, human and resources. So on. We do have WM also, that is a part of warehouse management. Right? The is responsible for handling all purchase related stuffs or the activity. ST, sales and distribution, is responsible for handling all sales related activity. Similarly, PP is related to the manufacturing. Finance is a part of payment receivable, payment payable, I can say. Of course, if you do the purchase, you need to make a payment. If you done the sales, you need to receive the payment. Then comes with the controlling. The controlling is a part of your finance only. Whenever you allocate the budget for any specific task, how that budget will be spent on that task, that is a part of controlling. Suppose if you have allocated somewhat 100 rupees for any budget, that all 100 rupees not going to be spent in one single go. Of course, they do have the percentage where, like, if the 25% has been done, the work, then this much amount will be released. After doing the 50%, this much. That is a part of controlling. That will always deals with the budget. So controlling is a part of finance only. Then HR, handling all the employee related stuff or the activity. Then warehouse management is nothing but a godown, we can say in our local terminology, godowns. Like we do have the storerooms in your home. We are going to stock up the data. Similarly, we do have the concept called warehouse. So there are more than 26 plus business are going to be supported by the SAP. So we do have the individual models provided by the SAP. Now, if I go with the consultant in SAP, so similarly, basis is a part of networking as we discussed. Like if you look at the CCNA, CCNP, these are the purely related to the networking concept. SAP having its own networking model, that is a part of basis. And the ABAP is purely a programming part in SAP. Whatever the development you want to carry out using the source code, and that is going to be developed by using its SAP's own programming language or the platform called ABAP. Then comes with consultant in SAP. So we do have three different consultant in SAP. One with the functional, then comes with technical, V, the ABAPer, nothing but ABAPer, then the basis. So this is a part of networking. Now you can ask me which one is having the highest scope, what is the like coordination, how they are going to be coordinate each other. See, All will be having the equal scope. Without anyone, we cannot do anything in SAP. We do require the equal coordination between the all three people in real time: functional, technical, and the basis. Let's go with some simple scenario as a real time. Suppose if you purchase some plot, the site, and if you want to construct either a commercial complex or maybe some residential complex. Now you are the business owner, you are doing your own business, and your business is running very well, and based on that you have purchased one site and you want to have a commercial, maybe the residential complex. Of course, if you know this plot sizing, suppose my plot size is somewhat 30-40, right? Let's assume my plot size is somewhat 30-40. Around, you can say 1200 square feet, I can say. And we do have the basic knowledge in this 1200 square feet. In this 1200 square feet, what is the like sizing of your room, how much rooms we can construct, or if it is related to the commercial, how much commercial, like I can say shops I can open. You do have some basic idea. Suppose if I go with the residential area, I want to construct a home for me. In that situation, how we are going to do? The minimum calculation is what? It can be like 1 BHK. It can be, there can be one bedroom, then one kitchen, there can be a hall, and some more open space for the parking also. That is my imagination. But exactly, I'm not sure where should be my entrance, where should be my kitchen room, where should be my bedroom, what should be the sizing. Who is going to plan for you? The architecture. We do have the civil engineers who is going to do as a architecture, and they are going to plan for you. You need to like visit the architecture, you need to show your site, the size, the direction, and your somewhat thoughts, what you're looking for. Accordingly, they will plan for you. What should be your entrance, where should be, what should be your parking size, where it should be, and where it should be the hall, kitchen, what will be the sizing, so on. They are going to plan for you. Of course, they are going to have some blueprint, some plan on the paper. Does that owner, like the business owner, like whom they are going to, who is going to want, like who is going to construct that home? Are we going to understand like whatever the solutions, whatever the blueprint is going to be provided by the architecture? Of course, we are not going to understand. There, it is totally technically, right? We are not going to understand what architecture has designed for us. Who is going to understand? The builder, right? The contractor. Of course, we need to visit the builder. We are going to get the deal done, like who is going to construct a home for you. The plan which has been done by the architecture, that plan is going to be submitted to the builder. Now he is going to understand what that mapping stands for. Then accordingly that working on the basement level, then columns, then so on so. And after that we are going to start staying in that home. Same way, the functional is nothing but the architecture in simple terminology. The functional is the architecture. How come? Like suppose a company XYZ, he is running his business or he want to start a new business, or it could be anything. Then of course he is not feasible to set up his own IT team and get the job done. Instead, they will extend the contract to the service-based company like IBM, Accenture, so on, so on. Then once the deal is done, then they will start looking for the business, like whatever the business is running by that XYZ organization. Before we implement the SAP, we need to completely understand the business of the organization. Now, who is responsible for that? The functional owner. We do have the, I'm not saying the common functional owner, individual functional owner. If that client is meant for purchasing and the retail based company, purchase, sales, and the finance, these activities are common. Now, these three individual consultant will visit the XYZ. They will completely understand their business process. Like as I told that I do have the empty site and I want to construct a home. In that situation, that when we when we extend the contract to the architecture, when we request for the architecture to design for us, without seeing the site, he cannot plan for you. He must visit your site. Same way, when the XYZ wanted to set up the SAP, before we set up, we need to have the proper idea, like what that client is meant for, what are the activities he carried out. So based on that, individual functional consultant will visit the client. They will understand each and every department of that client. Like if it is a purchase, then MM. If it is a sales, then SD consultant. If it is a finance related, then FI consultant will understand. Based on that understanding, now SAP is a complete package of all the business process. And it doesn't mean that whatever the standard application given by the SAP, it is suitable to your requirement. That we need to finalize. And based on what? The functional who is visiting their area, like the department. Based on their analysis, they will come to the conclusion whatever the standard application given by the SAP, does it suitable to their requirement or not? If not, then we need to develop our custom one. If you want to create the custom, then what should be the input screen? What should be the output screen? In between, what should be the logic? How the logic should get progress? Everything will be documented. The way architecture is going to do the graphical representation for you, in the same way, the functional always will design the document for you. And document we can call as a functional specification document. And that document always contains the business requirement as per the end user, right? The functional consultant is responsible for configure the client plant, configure the company code. He need to configure the some set of things within the system before he start his business on the SAP level, in the system level. So whatever the standard application given by the SAP, in that we are going to make a sort out like which one is suitable to their requirement. So accordingly we need to configure it, and that configuration will be done by the functional. Along with that, the second role is what? Now, the application which is provided by the SAP, if it is not suitable to their requirement, then he need to develop the custom one. By coordination with the client, by discussing with the client, he will come to the conclusion like what should be the input and what should be the output screen, and what should be the logic, how the data should be flow. So that complete requirement going to be gathered and they're going to be documented, and that documentation we can call as a functional specification document. And after developing the functional specification document, that all the documents, all the requirement comes to your team lead or maybe the manager. Now manager will know like whatever the resources are working under them. Now what is the bandwidth of each resources? According to he is going to assign the requirement to the ABAPer, the technical person. So as a ABAPer, we are going to receive the requirement. Sometimes we are going to receive the requirement in the format of tickets or bug or maybe the functional specification document. So as I told you that once the architecture has done the planning, that architecture is not going to be understood by the business owner, the owner which who want to construct the home. Of course, that is going to be understood by the builder, the contractor. So we are something like a builder, right? Technically, we need to develop that application. So in technical format, we are the person who is going to understand that requirement, and accordingly we are going to start developing the application. So as a ABAPer, we should have some roles and responsibilities in real time. So very first, we are going to receive the requirement from the business owner, sometimes from the business owner, sometimes from the functional, or most of the time your team lead or the manager who is responsible for assigning you the task. Now, once we receive the requirement, we need to analyze. Like client can ask anything. It doesn't mean that you should go against the SAP. We should also know that what is the things feasible or not. Accordingly, we need to estimate the number of hours. Once we analyze, we are going to estimate the number of hours, like what time you require to develop the object. Once you have done the development, then you are going to perform the testing. That testing we can call as a unit testing. Means the object which you have developed, does it working fine as per the requirement or what? That is a part of unit testing. But actual testing, that is a part of UAT, user acceptance test. That testing will be done by the functional, the business owner, the functional owner who has gathered the requirement. That is his job before we deliver the object to the client. So our job is what? Receive the ticket, analyze it, and estimate the time, because we need to provide the estimation. Suppose someone has called you in your friends or family and he is seeking some urgent help from you. You need to provide us some timing, right? I will be there in 10-15 minutes, or maybe the 20, maybe the 30. You need to give some estimation. It doesn't mean that he's in urgency and he's saying that please come, and you don't know how much time you're taking to reach them. And he's calling in the morning, you're reaching in the evening, aram se. So that is not going to be help you out. And if you go with the technically, you need to give the estimation, like how much time you require to complete the object. But you always provide the timings in hours wise. Every organization will be the having the standard timing hours. Like in a day you need to work for the 9 hours, and weekly it is a 45 hours. So always we go with the 45 hours, and always keep some timing in buffer. You know, like if you are suppose in your friend or family is calling you to reach out there, you know already you need require 10 to 15 minutes to reach over there. But you can say that I need 30 minutes. You always keep the timing in buffer. You never know. Sometimes in the signal it will take some extra time. Maybe you're standing somewhere. It can be anything. So in the same way, whenever you receive the requirement, before we give the estimation, we always have the timing in some buffer. You know, never know. Sometimes there is a last moment surprises also. In that situation, that might be some dependency also, right? So that's the reason we always take the time in the buffer. So once the development has been finished, we are going to perform the unit testing, and we are going to submit the object to the functional owner, not directly to the client, functional owner to whom we have received the requirement. Then we are going to prepare the document. That document we can call as a technical specification document. Functional, who is going to develop the documentation, that we can call as a functional specification document, which contains the business requirement. And we, the ABAP, are going to develop the document called technical specification document. So that document is nothing but like against the business requirement, what was your approach towards the technically? Like what object you have developed, how the data you have, like how logic you have managed. So everything need to be in detail. Like suppose if you purchase any product which contains a manual copy, what are the options, what are the things you need to do? Same way, this is something like a manual copy. So once it is done, you know, again in the SAP we do have the different server. That is a part of system landscape. That is our next session. Like configure, like we have decided like these are the application need to be configured, this the systems need to be set up. If it is a first time, system need to be set up, and regularly we need to manage the servers, like handling the data traffic. So that is a job of basis consultant. So basis is specifically meant for networking. It means setting the server, configure, like customizing the server, we can say. Configuration will be done by the functional, but customizing, installing this SAP for the first time, then customizing it as per the end user requirement, thereafter handling the network traffic. Thereafter, you do have some, like suppose once you get onboarded, they are having the user IDs. You do have the individual user IDs and the password for getting in into the SAP system. That creating the username and the password, again, it's a job of basis. Once you roll out from the project, deleting those credentials is again part of basis consultant. And as I discussed, you are going to develop the object. And again, that object needs to be travel in different system. The object which you are developing, once after completion of that development, that object need to be travel in a different systems. That is a part of system landscape. That is our next session. That transportation will again taken care by the basis. So each and every consultant will be having their own specific roles and responsibility, and without anyone, we cannot do anything. We do have the equal coordination. But if you're starting your career as a functional, or maybe you're starting your career as a technical, but there is a one corner point. If you're starting as a functional, or you're maybe starting it as a technical, but you do have some common point. So what that common point, suppose if you're as a beginner, that's a fine, but if you're at the 6 plus, 7 plus years of experience, now you're going to become a TL, team lead positions at a specific organization, maybe at the manager position. In that situation, there is a like need of an hours to become a techno-functional guys. You should know the technical, you should know the functional. That is a part of techno-functional. So either you're starting your career functionally or technically. At the some specific point, you need to become a techno-functional. So that is a some like you are at the team lead position or the man if you're handling the entire project. So that is a need of an hour. So every like functional or the technical, you should become a techno-functional. So like suppose if you are the ABAPer, it doesn't mean that you should have the knowledge of all the business functional area. At least you should have the minimal. Like if I say the business, the minimum business process which comes to the picture, purchase, sales, finance. You should aware these three compulsorily, because SAP is a business application. So it has developed the application, it has provided the application which supporting the business. Until unless you don't know the business, it is not possible for you to develop the application SAP. If I want to manage some logic, you can go to the Google, you'll get some sample source code to develop the application. But what logic I need to write, what are the tables I need to use, you will get only when if you know the business process. So business process is very important in SAP side. It doesn't mean that you should have all the areas like knowledge of all the business process, but minimal. Purchase, sales, and the finance. These are the common, randomly used everywhere. And the functionally, of course, if he has started a career in the MM side or SD side, but he should aware about some technical areas also, like program, how they behaves, how they execute, what is the flow. And there is a most important concept in SAP, like every programming is debugging. Everyone should aware. So that's it for the session. Thank you for the day. Thank you for the watching. And our next session will be on the system landscape.